Hey guys, Michael the Comic Nerd here to bring you another movie vlog review as a stalling tactic for my next review, which I'm working on. It's taken a lot longer than I wanted to. It's been a huge pain in the ass, but it's on the way. I'm so sorry it's taken so long, but to talk about why it's been ridiculous would be like a whole nother 20-minute rant, so I'm gonna postpone that for now and get right back on topic, which is the new Pixar movie, Brave, which I just got back to a couple hours ago, and obviously I'm here to talk about it. So, before I begin, and I start selling and first somebody calls me a cynical, heartless asshole, I did like this movie. So, it is a good movie. I do think it does some things right. It's definitely an improvement on Pixar's part from the last movie, which was Cars 2. And I admittedly didn't see that. I saw enough of it to know that it made me want to cry. And in fact, I have it on my list of movies to review later. Just, I don't want to get on topic on that. Let's focus on the task at hand. But yeah, it was a good movie. If you haven't seen it, kids will love it for sure. I would imagine maybe a few teenage girls might as well. That might be presumptuous, but that's the vibe I got. So yeah, it's good. I'm not sure it's worth seeing in theaters. You might want to wait till DVD, but if you need to get the kids out of the house, you can't go wrong here. So, okay, now we're getting to spoiler territory. So, yeah. My big problem with I did like it, but this is the movie that got me to realize how spoiled we've been with Pixar the past few years, and why the recent trend is really kind of disappointing. Well, more than a little disappointing. It's because shit, how long was it ago? Was it 4 years ago? Yeah, like 4 or 5 years ago, we got we had Ratatouille, which was really good. Then we had Cars, which was just okay. Then we had WALL-E, which was fantastic. And then the year after that, we got Up, which was astounding. That was pretty much where they hit their peak, was at Up, which is still I still think is their best movie to date, in my opinion. And then right after that, you had Toy Story 3. Which was also incredibly good, not as good as Up in my opinion, but still really, really, really good. And of course, it's a movie where pretty much everyone cried, pretty much. And then right after that, you got Cars 2, which is astonishingly bad, especially for Pixar. Pixar, who has pretty much never made a bad movie until then. I mean, I'm not saying every movie they make is a priceless artifact, priceless gem, but it wasn't Cars 2. It's just, I don't know if it's because if Disney Corporation is starting to pressure Pixar more, or if they're just running out of ideas. I don't know. So obviously, Pixar had a lot to kind of come back from after Cars 2, and Brave does it pretty good job of redeeming itself a little bit, although it does tend to hit a lot of the more of the Disney cliches than any other Pixar movie they've done so far. Like, you have the princess in the royal family who doesn't want to be royal, she wants to be free, and hell, all she has to do is sing a song about it and then she'd fit right in the other Disney princesses. You have the witch who casts a spell that suspiciously lasts only a couple days. You have the transforming animals. We'll get to that in a bit. Just all these things that you would expect from any other Disney movie, not from Pixar. And admittedly, I was a little disappointed when I saw that that's the direction they were going with it. Honestly, the trailers are incredibly misleading, in my opinion. Because, what I thought they were going to do, and it's not at all what they actually did, was the trailer kind of implied, the whole thing is that she wants to be free from her fate of having to wed some guy that she doesn't like, and she wants to be free to be a Xena the warrior princess, pretty much. And she goes finds a witch to break that spell. Well, I thought to not break that spell. She finds a witch to cast a spell to change her fate. That's the basic premise of the plot. But what I thought they were gonna do, and I thought this probably would have been much more interesting in comparison. What I thought they were gonna do is have the witch cast a spell or whatever at the beginning of the movie, and then pretty much spend a good portion of the movie after that kind of dealing with, well, like, what happens next, like what's the political fallout, like how do the other how the other clans respond to that, all that stuff. And they kind of do that. Not too much. Only like in one scene is that really ever really addressed. And I know it's a Pixar movie, and I know I don't expect them to go full political assassin on me, but it would have been much more interesting than this. I would say that. Like I would have liked to see like the clans like literally go to war over them. Then like her decision to separate herself from that family would have consequences, and that would be really interesting. And that's something that doesn't really happen in Disney movies. Obviously, it would have a happy ending. It's still Disney, but like here and there, some like Disney movies where they always have the princess like basically break all the rules and no consequences ensue. No one gets angry. Everything just goes happily ever after. I would love to see this movie actually explored what happens afterwards. But no, that's not what we got. And maybe I'm hoping for way too much. But considering what we've had with Up, we've had with Pixar up to this point, I'm still thinking about Up. Considering the movies we've had with Pixar and the dark stuff they've covered, this is not a far reach for them to do, and I would like to see them do that. And you're gonna have to hold that thought for 1 second. I gotta take care of something. Okay, so where was I? Yes. Before I go into my major rant of the day of what I didn't like about this movie, let me just talk about what I did like, because there are some very likable things about this movie. Number one, it is Pixar, so the visuals are fantastic. Like the way the hair blows in the breeze, a lot of curly red hair. It all looks beautiful. The landscapes and the scenery and all that is gorgeous. Just everything. It's still Pixar. Like no matter how crappy the storyline is, you can guarantee the animation is going to be amazing. It's just how Pixar works. It's one of the reasons why we love them. One of the many reasons. So yeah, no matter what the movie actually turns out to be, you can always guarantee the visual is going to be great. Second, I like the family dynamic actually, like especially in the very beginning of the movie, before we get transforming animals, and we'll get to that. I liked like her relationship to like her father and her brothers and her mother, which kind of takes up the core of the movie. But again, more on that later. And the dad is just awesome. By the way, he's like, I loved him. I thought he was great. Just his character is really well rounded, very likable person, but still can do that brutish, rawr thing that the Scottish do so well. Or is it Irish? I don't know. I'd offend my Scottish friends if I said I didn't know the difference. Which I just did. I'm ranting. I'm getting off topic. Anyway. Where was I? Ah, yes, the dad. So that was all great. I like the world it creates. I like how it's, I do kind of like how it's magical. I'm still disappointed that Pixar decided to go with the whole magic trumps, but the visuals behind look really good. I like how there's, like, the magical portions are pretty much limited to the witch and the will-o'-the-wisps that pop up frequently, which are supposed to basically literally guide you to your fate or your destiny or whatever. And all I could think of when I saw the will-o'-wisps like literally make a path was all I could think of is the little gold dust trail in the Fable game series that you follow to get to your objective. It's kind of along the same lines. I mean, if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. But there's that, and the action scenes are really good. Like those are very, especially in the third act. The third act is pretty much when the movie got its best. both visually and story-wise. I think that's where the tension... It really did a good job of building up that tension to the very end, even if the villain is pretty boring, and quite frankly, didn't really need to be there. But again, more on that later. So yeah, I like the I do like the characters. The characters are good, well-rounded, well-written, and of course, voiced really well. And the visuals are great, and the landscape's great. So yeah, all that's good. Now here's where I get to the part where it's impossible to talk... I'm not making any sense. This is where I talk about what I didn't like. And, what I didn't like about this movie is what happens in the movie is very early on, basically, the mother, who's the queen, is plays the overbearing mother type who wants her daughter to be like the perfect princess so she can eventually marry off some guy and rule her own kingdom. And by the way, the mother isn't portrayed bad here. They do make a point to make her seem like she is just a caring mother who wants the best for her daughter. And I like that. And, but I don't really like is the daughter gets very, very angsty. And I hate that word, by the way, because it seems so negative. But there are no other words to really describe it here. It's angsty. She's doing that whole, like, you don't listen to me, mother. I was not fair, blah, blah, blah. All that teenage angst crap that we all went through or seen somebody go through. Hell, I did it for a while. I probably still do a little bit. But now I can't use a teenage excuse anymore. Anyway. So what she does... after like one of the big huge argument where they both yell at each other and then she runs off in the forest crying, is she finds a witch. And in the trailer she asks for a spell to change her fate, but in the movie she says, I want a spell to change my mother. And I'm actually astonished they managed to keep this part of the story a secret. So the witch gives her a potion. The witch, by the way, is a very kind of bizarre character. Because you walk in on the witch's hut, she has bear carvings everywhere. This movie has a strange obsession with bears. I don't quite know how to describe it. Yeah, wood carvings everywhere, and then she's like, oh, well, you're not supposed to know witch, but then you kind of figured it out. Okay, witch is stuff now. Poof, poof. So yeah, she makes her a potion that will change her mother. So she tricks her mother into taking, like, potion that was hidden in a cake, and she turns into a bear. And that's pretty much, if that sounds familiar, it's because that's pretty much the plot line for Brother Bear, which was a mediocre Disney movie at best. Okay, it's not the exact plot, but, you know, changing into the bear, same kind of thing. And then you have to deal with that whole fish out of water element where the mother has to get used to being a bear and yada yada yada, and have to try to reverse the spell. But here's where the issue lies. The main point of the movie is to show a mother and a daughter grow together and realize just how much they love each other. That's the point of the movie, and I'm not complaining about that. If you do that right, that can be very, very interesting, very, very well done. But here's the problem, is that the bear doesn't talk. And it communicates strictly through, of course, bear noises and body language, pretty much. But, the entire interaction after turns into a bear just basically turns into one-sided conversation where, I don't even remember the main character's name. I think it's Meredith, something like that. Anyway, it's just basically her talking to a bear who can't talk back. And ordinarily, I wouldn't complain about the fact that the animals make actual animal noises rather than actual talk. But when you're supposed to believe that both mother and daughter grow throughout the story, I would have liked to see her actually communicate. Like, I would have liked to see them actually talk to each other like real human beings, and instead of just arguing every scene they're in before she turns into a bear, which is what happens. We never really... We see the main character grow, but we can't really see the mother grow. Well, we do through body language, but it's not as effective as it would have been if she had talked. It seems like they're going for the Wall-E thing, where she doesn't completely speak through like full sense or anything like that, more out of noises, body language, and simple motions. But the difference between Wall-E and this movie is that both Wall-E and Eva couldn't communicate in full sentences, so they had to find their own way to, communicate. And and they communicate through eyes and through body and through language, and that's the only way they could talk. Here, main character might as well be talking to her pet dog. It's about the same effect. I know that sounds mean, and I don't mean to sound like a prick, but that's the way it seems to me. It's like, and I'm not saying it never works, because there are some very good moments later on in the movie, but it just never feels right. It never feels the way it's supposed to feel. Like, I don't see them get that connection that they should be getting. I feel like if they could talk to each other somehow, even if it's just through writing, some way to communicate those words and those emotions to each other, aside from what they go through, aside from just the body language stuff, because I feel like that alone doesn't work in this case. I feel like that alone doesn't convey the emotional strength they're going for. Does that make any sense? I don't know. It's like, am I reading too much into this? Like, if I don't know. I just felt like they could have done more with it. Like, I would have loved to see these characters work out their problems with each other. I would have loved to see that. But I want to see that vocal communication, or something other than what they did. Because what they did not work to the full extent they were going for. It's because when the mother doesn't talk, the moral of the story seems to be you'll grow together as a family if the mother just shuts the fuck up. Which is obviously not the lesson they're going for, but that's pretty much what you get out of it. I know that's horrible to say, and I don't... Of course I don't take any credence to that, but that's just what it seems to me. Am I making any sense? Okay, I gotta stop asking that question. But that really kind of sums up my whole problem with the movie. Is like the core emotion of it is supposed to be the bond between mother and daughter. And that can work very, very well. Hell, it worked very well in How to Train Your Dragon between between the son and the father in that movie. Had that kind of very similar dynamic where they didn't really know how to talk to each other, they didn't really know how to communicate with each other. But through the course of the movie, again, kind of the same kind of thing. They come to an understanding about each other, and they realize just how much they love one another. And this movie could have done that same thing, but they needed a better way to communicate. Especially when you have something like that going on. You need to communicate, and the way they did it just didn't work. At least it didn't work for me. Maybe you got more out of it. If you did, good for you. All the power to you. And that wasn't necessarily the only thing I didn't like. I didn't really like how it kind of went along with a lot of the old Disney cliches, the angsty attitude that I've already mentioned. A lot of the comedies pretty much slapstick and physical humor, which isn't bad. And there's some pretty funny moments in there. The villain is beyond boring in this movie. It looks cool. It's basically just a big fucking giant ass bear with swords on its back. That's pretty fucking awesome. They try to give him a backstory, but really feels pretty tacked on and pretty much unnecessary. You could have easily done the whole movie without a villain at all, frankly. But you needed something to... I guess they needed a villain for the final action scene, which was pretty good. So, to be fair... this is one... They didn't really drive Pixar in new directions this movie, but it did do a few things that they haven't done before. Which is where this movie has the most nudity out of any Pixar movie to date. I don't think I've seen that much Scottish ass in an animated movie ever. I don't think I've seen that much bare ass in anime movies, period. It was actually kind of impressive in a weird way. In fact, there's a few scenes that kind of raised my eyebrow a little bit. Like, even like the first 5 seconds, like in a flashback, like a scene with the main character as a little kid, and the dad reach around and grope the mother on the grope the mother's ass. I was like, holy Jesus, watch it. This is PG, man. There was another scene where like one of the triplet comedy relief kids like jumps into a pair of ladies' big bosoms for a key. Although he'll love that trick when he gets older too, but that's a whole nother issue. But yeah, it's not a bad movie. There are some good things about it. It does have a lot. It does, of course, have a good heart, and it does have a happy ending. Maybe my expectations were just too high, or maybe I was just hoping for something different. I still enjoyed what I got. I still think it's worth seeing. Maybe not in theaters, but I would say definitely check it out on DVD. I can't think of anything else to say about it. So, I think I'm going to stop here because I've probably already ranted way more than I should have. And I'll see you guys later.